Hey, what's going on everyone, and welcome to another tutorial. Today we're going to be looking at how to create this really cool neon text effect inside of Premiere. It's super easy and super customizable. So once the template's together, it's super easy to change the wording and the color within a few clicks. So let's jump into Premiere and I'll show you how to do it. All right, so inside of Premiere, the first thing we want to do to get our neon text started is come over and hit our text tool and just on our window, just click and we will type in our text. So I'll type in neon. Now I'm using a font called Monotone, which I'll link in the description below, but you can just, a quick Google will find heaps of different styles of neon text. So you should be able to find one that suits your style. So I'll make it a bit bigger so it's easier to see. And just by hitting these two little icons here, we'll just align it in the vertical and horizontal axis so it's perfectly in the center. So now we've got our text, we need to start adding some glow to it. So what we'll do is we'll come down to our timeline, we'll right mouse click our text layer and just hit the nest button and hit OK. And that'll create a nested sequence, but we want to duplicate that. So we can hold Alt or Options on our keyboard and just drag up, and that'll create a duplicate. Now on the duplicate, we want to come over to our effects, and we want to find Gaussian blur and drag that onto our layer, on our second nested layer. And we want to come up into our effects control, and down at Gaussian blur, we just want to change our blurriness to about 35 or so. And already you can start to see it creates a bit of a very slight glow. So to make it more pronounced, we can come down to our timeline again, highlight the top nest where we just put the Gaussian blur on, and we just want to duplicate it again by holding Alt or Options on our keyboard and dragging up again once. So now on the very top layer, we want to come back up into our effects control, down to our Gaussian blur, which should already be there. And on our blurriness, we're just going to change it up to about 100 or so. And it does create a bit more of a glow, but we can really make that pop by coming down to our timeline, highlighting all our nested sequences, dragging up so we get a little bit of a gap underneath because we're going to put a black solid underneath this. So to do that, we'll come over into our project, we'll right mouse click, new item, and come down to color matte. Hit that, hit OK. Now we've got all the colors we can pick. So we're going to start this one with just doing black. Hit OK. So this is our color matte. Hit OK one more time. And we'll just drag this underneath all our footage. And as soon as we do that, you can see how much it actually pops the color. So we turn that on and off. You can just see how much putting the black solid underneath everything actually does. Now, to give this some color, we can do a method that makes it super easy to adjust colors whenever we need. So what we can do is we can come back into our project window, right mouse click again, down to new item, and we're going to create another color matte. We'll hit OK. So this time we want to pick the color that we want our neon text to be. So if I come down and pick a very light blue, hit OK, and I'll just change this to color, so just to make it a bit neater, and we'll drag that on top of all our layers. Now automatically that creates a complete blue solid. So to change that and add this color to our actual text, we'll highlight the color layer, come up into our effects control, come down to opacity, and then under blend mode, we're just going to hit this and come down to overlay. And as soon as you do that, you can see we create the blue color in the actual glow. Now, as you can see, around the very edge of the text, it's very sort of heavy. So to change that and just to dial it back a bit, we can come down to our middle layer, which is where that is sitting. And we can just come up into our effects control, I should say, come down to opacity and just bring that down. Now, what's great about this method of creating the neon text is that when we want to change color, it's as simple as double clicking the top color, and then we can it brings up the little color picker box, and all we need to do is just come through and just pick whatever color we want, and it automatically changes the color. So this is really good because it makes it really easy and quick to be able to change the colors to whatever you want. So now if we want to give it a little bit of an animation, so like flickering on, what we can do is we can zoom in on our timeline by hitting the plus button on your keyboard, and we'll just find a point where we want it to start. So let's say we want to start at a second. We're just going to hit the C key, and that'll bring up our cut tool, and we're just going to cut our 3 nested sequences. We'll hit V on the keyboard to bring it back up the selection tool, and we're just going to delete these 2 top layers to start with. So then it flicks on, and we just want to come forward and just every frame or 2. So this one, we'll start with a frame, we'll just cut, we'll go forward 2 frames, do a cut, and we're not cutting the bottom just yet. We will, but not just yet. Go forward a frame, or 2 frames, go forward a frame, and just keep doing that for however long you want the animation to last. So once you've done all those cuts, we're just going to delete every second cut. So then when we play it on, you can see it flickers on. But what we can do to really help sell the effect is we can come down, and now on our very bottom layer, just in between these gaps, we're just going to cut. So we're not going to delete these. What we're going to do is we're going to come over into our effects and type in HLS and grab the color balance and just drag that. We'll start with our first one, and we'll just come up into our effects control, go down to the color balance, and we'll just set this to about -90. And you can see it changes it to the color, so it makes it look more off. And we'll just copy the color balance by hitting Control C on your keyboard, and then we'll just go through in each of these, hit Control V, Control V, Control V, and that copies the effect to each one of those gaps. So now when we play it through, rather than having it white, it actually looks off, and then it flicks to on. So another thing that's great about this is the ease of cutting the color. But now, if you want to say you want to change your text, all you need to do is just click any of these nested sequences, and it'll bring up your original text that you made. Double click it and just change it to whatever you want. We can realign it, come back into our main project file, and it automatically changes all the text because they're all the copies of the original nested sequences. In every nested sequence, it's now changed. And if we play it through, our animation and our new text is there. Now, the last thing we'll look at is what happens if you want to put this neon text onto some actual footage. What you'll find at the moment, if you leave it like it is and you just put some footage underneath it, there'll be 2 problems. One, we put some footage on there as an example, which is a clip like this. So obviously the text is under, and the first problem is because we have a black solid, it just covers the whole footage. The second problem we have is if we delete the black solid, you can see the whole footage turns to the color which you've selected, which again isn't ideal. So to fix this, what we can do is we can bring back our black layer, and we can just highlight all our footage, right mouse click it, and we're going to nest it again. Hit OK. So now all the work we've done is now in this nested sequence. So we open up the nested sequence, everything is still there. But if we come back to our main project file, what we can do is we can highlight it, come up into our effects control, and all we need to do is come down to opacity, and in the blend mode, we're just going to change it to screen. We have our neon text right on our footage with no issues at all. And it's still got all the effects, animation, and if you want to change the color, all you need to do is jump back into the nested sequence, highlight the color, double click it, change the color to whatever you want, hit OK, come back into our main sequence, and you've got your neon text on your footage still. So once you've built the template, as you can see, it's super easy to be able to adjust your text and color. So that's why this is my favorite method for making neon text in Premiere. All right, so that's about to do it for today's tutorial. As you can see, a super easy effect to pull off. And what's great is how customizable it is once the template's made. So if you did get something out of it, please hit the subscribe button. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments below, and I'll catch you in the next one.